Within the country, are there any other domestic risks that we are facing that could potentially derail us from following this IMF program smoothly?
At the moment, on what Dr. Gopinath said, we have a lot of, how shall I say, some level of institutional building and acts have been brought into Parliament to avoid from derailing. For an example, the Public Debt Management Act, and at the same time the independence of the central bank, because earlier the government could liberally borrow from the central bank when they are not meeting the targets. Now you have brought some restrictions to it, and there are limitations, caps on your primary surplus, your expenditure, so on and so forth. So on that front, I think we are somewhat covered to an extent. Very little room if you really want to derail. Of course, the government has a super majority, so if they really want to, they have that option, but we don't see that they're using that option. They are pretty much staying on targets, and that's what even President Andrew Kumara committed to the IMF, because he wanted to make this the last program that we wanted to be with the IMF, and so which was endorsed by Dr. Gopinath, saying that as long as we can stay on the fiscal course, like the Sri Lanka can stay on the targets, that most likely this will be the last program. The challenge is not on the past, but what is coming in the future on one side. But the other risk, the domestic risk, since you specifically asked, it could be the weather factor, which is beyond everyone's control, because generally for our recovery from 2022, the weather has been an unsung hero, because not many people focused about it, but we had excellent weather. Because when you have better weather, no floods, better rains, because then it helps on agriculture on one side. Second, it helps on our electricity generation, because otherwise if you look at our electricity generation mix, it's mainly skewed from 2022 to so far more on the renewable side, including hydro, because you had my chairman Murtaza says generally God is a Sri Lankan. He has been very kind that we had good weather, and which also activates the agricultural sector. So on that front, that has been positive so far. If there's an internal risk, that could be one, actually, the weather factor. If there's a unfortunate drought, or if there are some changes in the weather patterns, that could impact our productivity additionally to the other external threats.